Welcome back to What's Cooking Today, the nation's food, wine, restaurant, and travel show from CRN Digital Talk Radio in Hollywood, California. I'm Michael Horn along with Paul Stern, and Rick Hoieninghausen is with us now. Rick is the Director of Marketing for Yellowstone National Resorts. Welcome, Rick.
Hey, good morning. Nice to be with you guys today.
Good to be with you today, Rick Hoieninghausen. Tell us a little bit, first and foremost, what's going on in the national parks? Are we starting to get people to cram in there? Do we need to get reservations? What do we do to get into the parks?
Well, I never try to consider it cramming anybody in here, but it looks like it's going to be a good summer. I would always make reservations. You know, even last year it was a good year. Soft economies aren't necessarily bad for national parks at all. We tend to do okay, but this year it looks like we're have a nice bounce back. People definitely see the value here, and they're making the calls, and they're coming. So I'm very optimistic for a good summer.
All right, here's the big question. This one here is I've got to have the answer because you're at Yellowstone National Park. It's got the Old Faithful. Is Old Faithful still being faithful?
Yes, she is. She's about every 90 minutes, plus or minus 10. And still, you know, amazing for people to see for the first time or after many times that she's still faithful.
Wow. All right. So, and you can plan that as part of your trip into Yellowstone, right? You got to go by Old Faithful.
Well, yeah, I think while I would never recommend just making one stop and leaving, when people do have an abbreviated visit to the park, they do tend to include a trip to Old Faithful. And because it's every 90 minutes, you know that if you're going to be here for about that long, you're going to have a chance to see at least one eruption. But, you know, Old Faithful's part of a bigger geyser basin. More than half the world's geysers and hot springs and all are here in Yellowstone. So you're really not doing yourself a complete favor by only watching Old Faithful. There are other predictable geysers, and there's other beautiful hot springs and mud pots, and the thermal features in the park are fascinating. So I'd encourage anybody, if you're getting as close as that to Old Faithful, to take a little time to walk around the boardwalks of the area and enjoy the other thermal features and wildlife. It's not a bad place to see wildlife.
I should mention that Old Faithful is a geyser. For those of you have a few dunces in the audience out there, it's a geyser that erupts every 90 minutes or so. And I mentioned that because I was watching the news the other day, and at Memorial Day, some moron was on TV saying, you know, they love all the people who passed away so they could have this great holiday. I mean, what a dumb thing to say, but you know, so there are some dunces there, so I have to mention it is a geyser. Now, Paul, you had a question.
Well, I was going to say, Rick, is there any way to kind of describe the reaction amongst the people that are there in attendance when they actually see Old Faithful erupt? You hear so much about people saying, well, you can watch stuff on videotape and it has the exact same kind of a feeling, but I would imagine that with such a natural occurrence, really, to be there in person and see it happen, there really isn't any other kind of substitute.
Nat, you're absolutely right, and because there's even a live geyser cam, so you can watch this on the internet. But when you're up that close, and you're not right at the geyser, I mean, you're at a safe distance away on a boardwalk, but it's several things. First of all, there's a little kind of a pre-eruption that always gets people wondering, is that it? Is that it? And you can hear that in the crowd as they're watching. But then when it actually erupts and they realize how tall it is, and then you can also hear it. So it's a kind of multi-sensory, if you will, and then you do get the collective ooh among the people on the boardwalk. It is pretty exciting, and then you get all the cameras going and people turning around and getting their picture with the geyser erupting behind them, and the video cameras and the camera phones. It's quite a sight.
Now, we're talking about Yellowstone National Resort, and Rick Hoieninghausen is with us today, and he's the Director of Marketing. And so, Rick, you can camp there, obviously, but can you also, go and board yourself in, like, a hotel or something and drive in for a day?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I would encourage that because there's several hundred miles of road here and quite a variety of features within the park. So trying to do it in a day or even especially a few hours is you're not helping yourself at all. And so there are a lot of campgrounds in the park and an RV park also, but there's actually 9 lodging facilities that we manage and that represents, when everything's open for the summer, over 2,000 guest rooms and cabins.
Wow.
So, and you've got quite a range. You've got cabins and rooms without a private bath. These are largely historic facilities, but you also have some newer ones and, you know, nicer hotel rooms and even some suites scattered around. So you can, for a national park, you go kind of more of a luxury angle, or you can go a very basic roof over your head.
Yeah, I like the little luxury style over there, you know. Any spas available so you can go in there? I mean, you know, that's kind of a thing.
Not quite that, but there is a natural hot springs near between Mammoth Hot Springs and Gardner. If you can soak in a hot springs into the Gardner River.
You can go in there, huh? That's good.
You can in the summertime during the daylight hours. And otherwise, you know, in the winter you can get a massage. It's actually a winter season here, too.
I like
people
that.
will ski and such. So it's not quite a resort but or a spa treatment, but there are some certainly some creature comforts and dining and places to stay. But really,
Rick, we're going to have you back on again. I think we're getting on into this.
Rick is really getting into Rick Hoieninghausen, thanks for being with us. Give us the website for Yellowstone National Resort.
Actually, it's YellowstoneNationalParkLodges.com.
Yellowstone National Park Lodges?
Lodges.com.
Thanks for being with us, Rick. Straight ahead, we continue on What's Cooking Today. CRN